going on, everybody? Happy Tuesday night. Welcome here to this week's edition of 48 Minutes Basketball Network. We're really excited as we are recapping the first week of free agency, all the crazy news that's come out so far. So much to get to. I am Tim Daniel, joined here this week just by Ben Brown as Josh and Sean are occupied. Ben, welcome back. How was vacation? Good to see you, man.
Oh, man, it was wonderful. The beach was wonderful. The time off was wonderful. But, man, it's really hard when you're trying to be off your phone and you're trying to enjoy your family. And, I mean, your phone just ding, ding. Who got traded? Hold on. Kyrie's in. Now he's out. Durant's in. Now he's out. What? Like, my wife's like, what are you looking at? Nothing. Nothing. I'm not looking at anything. Like, but there's so many different crazy things going on. But, yeah, vacation was awesome, but especially seeing all the NBA free agency stuff and all the craziness. Like you were like, hey man, we need to throw a podcast up. I'm like, I'm in. Just let me know when and where, and we need to talk about this. We need to get this off our chests.
Yeah, man, a lot of crazy between trades, free agent moves. I saw right before we got on, Kennedy Chandler signed the biggest American second-round pick contract in history. So congrats, young man. Get your bag.
Hey, yeah, secure your bag, Kennedy. Good job, boy.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, man, I think the biggest story so far that's not Nets related, because we're going to get to the Nets, it's got to be Rudy Gobert going to Minnesota in a trade. So right now we see the details here is Minnesota gets Rudy Gobert, and Utah in return gets Malik Beasley, Pat Bev, Leandro Balmero, Walker Kessler, Jared Vanderbilt, and 5 draft picks. Now there's a pick swap in there. There's a protected pick in 2029. But man, first of all, like I know we're going to get into how we feel the fit for Gobert is here, but just looking at this deal, if you're Danny Ainge and you're looking to get your war chest of assets, as we know he's a big fan of, how do you feel about this trade? Do you like it? Do you I like it a lot on the Jazz side as far as like the pieces they picked up, but on the Minnesota side, like obviously the fact that you can give Cat the advantage of being a big four now, to where Rudy Gobert takes that center spot. But do you feel like this is a lot?
It's a ton. It's a ton. Like, and I know the value of Gobert. Like, I understand. He's a defensive player of the year multiple years. He's done some really cool things. But goodness, dude, that is a ton to give up, bro. Like not even just the players, but just all those first round picks. Like you are just telling your franchise, like now granted, like you can always flip those picks and things like that, but man, you were just telling your franchise, like, we are out to win it all this year. You go out and get a Rudy Gobert, pair him with Cat, you know what I mean? And like you're just telling your franchise you're all in. You're all in. Like you're giving up all those assets and players, and you're telling your franchise like our time is now. I don't know about the fit. I mean, like you said, I think it does give Cat that opportunity to be a big four, stretch four. He wants to shoot threes. I get all that. He has that ability, and it also makes him it makes him less of a liability defensively, because when you do have Rudy Gobert back there, I mean, you don't have to worry about guys trying to charge the paint and do all these different things. So, and in that sense, yeah, I think that they'll be okay. He doesn't give you a whole lot offensively, but you still have D'Lo, you still have Anthony Edwards, you still have Cat. Like you've got a lot of offense. I just don't like giving up so many picks and so many role players like Malik Beasley and Pat Bev. Like, as much as you can say what you want about Pat Bev, he's a really good role player. He knows what his job is. He's an antagonist. He does what he's supposed to do. I am personally not a Pat Bev guy, but he knows his role. So you're giving a lot up for Rudy Gobert and what he's going to be able to bring you. And on top of that, how long can he be that Rudy Gobert? He's 30, right? Like he's older.
Yeah.
Like he's like how much longer can he be that Rudy Gobert? Be that guy for that long? You know what I mean? So you're giving up a lot. If he has a drop off in the next 2 years, you've lost the trade. Like you've lost the trade. Like if he drops off and says, not saying that he'll just completely crumble, but like if he's not the same guy he was 2 years ago, in 2 years, you've lost the trade. You've lost all those first round draft picks. You've lost some pivotal players in your run to making the playoffs this past year. Like, you've got some core pieces, but now you've got to try to build a bench. You've got to try to do some other things. You've got to make some other moves in order for this to be something that you're saying, okay, well, this is worth it. But if he's not the same Rudy Gobert in 2 years, you've lost that trade. Like, there's a lot of pressure on Rudy Gobert to be that guy for another 5 years.
Yeah, I agree. I think you did mention kind of having to build the bench. I saw they signed Kyle Anderson from
Mm-hmm.
Memphis to a 2-year deal. I don't know if "sign's" the right word with all the weird language going on right now, but
Yeah,
agreed to terms is probably what I should have
the
said.
terms. Yeah, that's
Uh,
that's probably the bet. Yeah.
yeah. So here's the thing that really kind of jumped out to me is so at this point, if you look at this here, I got this graphic from somewhere. Please don't sue me. I forgot your website. Um, So D'Lo at the 1, Anthony Edwards at the 2, Jaden McDaniels at the 3, Cat at the 4, Gobert at the 5. Do you think their defense is just going to be like, let's play Red Rover?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. None of those guys would you say are stellar defenders besides Gobert. I mean, that they struggle to get stopped. That's what part of the reason why they don't make deep runs in the playoffs, right? Like they can't stop people. They can score, they just can't get stops. Now Gobert will help with that some, because what it'll give them the ability to do is take more risk. So I can reach out for a steal. I can try to do a back tip. I can try to do these different things, play in the gaps more because I've got Rudy Gobert behind me, who is a stalwart at defensively. So it will give them more of that. But yeah,
I think Ben's frozen. All right. Well, Ben froze up. I think what he was kind of saying more, though, was that things are kind of different now, obviously, and that the changes they made, it looks like they're looking to get better defensively. Um, oh, the power went out at Ben's house as I'm by myself. All right. Well, you guys are stuck with me now for a little bit until he gets back up, hopefully soon. So I'll kind of go through real quick, and hopefully, if you're in the chat, you have some conversation. Please send it my way before we get a little crazy here. Do want to kind of point out real quick, obviously, the other big trade, Atlanta getting DeJounte Murray from San Antonio. The deal being that Danilo Gallinari also was in the trade and multiple first round picks. Atlanta obviously ended up, San Antonio ended up releasing Gallinari, and he is obviously signed with the Celtics. But this is fantastic for Atlanta. You're looking at a circumstance now where for Trae Young, kind of can adapt that Kyrie Irving role, right? He can kind of play off the ball and be more of a cutter. And DeJounte Murray helps him out defensively so much. Obviously, he's been a plus defender every year of his career. He's very talented. He's got that skill set. I know ESPN Fantasy has him as a top 10 player next year, being in this situation here. And obviously, at the moment, John Collins is still in Atlanta. I know he's been rumored to be traded for like every year since he's been in the league. But I really think, as much as I'm not a Hawks guy, I've been very open throughout my time doing this show, this is a great move for them. For Trae Young, obviously, who's not a defender, you have that defender next to him. Like I said, I really like this off-ball situation now for Trae Young, where you have another guy who can kind of handle the ball. You guys can split ball handling responsibilities. Another thing that really jumps out too is in San Antonio, Murray had to be a guy who had to take a lot of shots, and he's not a great shooter. I mean, he shot 34% from three, I believe, last year. Now he has Trae Young next to him, and that makes things a lot easier for him as well. So this is kind of the best case scenario for Atlanta. It's just kind of how everything worked out. So really, really love that for them, and really curious to see how this plays out. If you are just tuning in, hey, I am by myself right now. Sean and Josh were not available tonight, and Ben's power went out while we were recording. So I am kind of flinging this. Hopefully you are enjoying yourself. If you're in the chat, feel free to stop by and ask any questions you may have, and we'll kind of keep going with this. So this might end up being a 20-minute podcast. We'll find out. This is the big one, obviously. I was really wishing Ben was here for this to kind of get his thoughts on it. But Boston trading for Malcolm Brogdon and obviously getting the point guard they need to move forward. This is another move that pains me to say Boston got right. You're talking about a point guard who really kind of changes all the things they do. A guy you can pair with Marcus Smart. You can play with Marcus Smart's off the floor. Gives Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum another facilitator. Boston, obviously, like I mentioned in the earlier slide, brings in Danilo Gallinari. So that makes, a really nice piece for them off their bench. I know Stephen A. Smith tweeted this, and it pains me to kind of quote him, but this is big. This is huge for them. This is Boston, kind of saying that last year wasn't a fluke, and we want to build off that, and we aren't going anywhere. So bringing him in, they bring in Gallinari, obviously, like I said, to come off the bench. You're looking now at a group of Brogdon, Smart, Brown, Tatum, and Horford, and Robert Williams, and guys like that. That's a really good group. Ime Udoka showed that when he learned to make adjustments to the NBA game, he kind of really took the ball and ran with it. He was impressive and puts you in a situation here where this is kind of a big time move for them. I think, this is going to only go so far for them. On the Pacers end, you look at the names here: Neesmith, Daniel Tice, Nick Stauskas, Malik Fix, Juwan Morgan. They're not names that are exactly the plans of the future of the Pacers by any means. This was about getting that draft pick and what they had to take on to do it. So the Pacers now have 3 first-round draft picks for next year in the 2023 draft. And so that's what this was all about. This was about getting that draft capital. They just got Ben Mathurin in the draft, and they're really excited about that. This is about kind of building your core for the future. You traded for Tyrese Halliburton last year. At the moment, Miles Turner's still a Pacer. So that's kind of going to, really kind of dictate where the things go from there. What's up, Derby Gaping? Thank you for joining. Appreciate you. This is kind of, the Pacers kind of planning for the future, obviously. Halliburton, Mathurin, Chris Duarte, and, now having these 3 picks, you can kind of see where they're going. This is about rebuilding. And this is what the NBA needs, in my opinion. We don't need a ton of these middling in the middle teams, these kind of going back and forth and ups and downs and who's going to do what. We need these teams that are deciding on, am I going to be a part of the future? Am I going to try to make a championship, or am I going to try to build up assets to win a championship? And thank God Ben's back.
Man, I'm using my cell phone. We literally lost power.
Woo.
And our Wi-Fi is all crazy. Like I'm sitting here and it just went completely dark. I had my lights on, had everything all set up. There we go. Get my light back. But yeah. So we were sitting here with no power for about 30 seconds. So
Well, I hope your phone's charged.
Yeah, my phone.
Uh-oh. Let's see if I get him to come back up. All right. I think I got you again. Okay. Can you see me? Can you hear me? Ben.
Yeah, you got me?
I got you. Okay. All right.
Okay.
This is the life of podcasting, people.
It is, man. This is crazy. In the 4 years I lived in my house, never lost power. Crazy.
We've lost it quite a bit lately. I think one of the things they told us was because it's been so hot that could potentially lead to it.
Yeah. We had never lost it. So that was crazy. It just shut everything down.
Yeah. Well, you came at the perfect time. I'm here talking about the Malcolm Brogdon trade. So already went over it for what it does for the Celtics, but kind of talking more this for the Pacers. This wasn't about the players they brought in this deal. Obviously, this was about the draft capital, getting their 3rd first-round pick for next year, deciding that they're going to go in the rebuild with Halliburton, Duarte, getting Ben Mathurin. Right now, Miles Turner's still there. So to me, this was just more about, let's go ahead and stock up on some draft capital. Let's build for the future. We're not going to be in a place to win for a little while. So kind of as a Pacers fan, wanted to get your thoughts on it.
Yeah, it was definitely a salary dump and trying to get some picks and being able to rebuild, which I'm all for. I mean, if you've looked at our roster the last couple years, we've kind of built around Sabonis. We traded him away. We did get an awesome piece in Halliburton back, which we can build around. Durante has been great. He's played really well. So we've got a nice young core, um, and we're stacking up draft picks, which is nice. So if you're going to do a rebuild, you might as well do the rebuild right and go ahead and trade away some pieces that you're not really going to use for the future. Get yourself some assets, and go ahead and start this thing the right way. We've talked about this before about how well the Pacers have sustained their franchise. And, it was weird. Like we had talked about, it was weird to see us picking at number 7 because we have been so consistent for so long. And it also gives Rick Carlisle a chance to build a team built the way that he wants to build a team. So I'm all for it. He's getting some pieces there that I think that'll help. He's getting draft picks that I think will help, and we're dumping salaries, be able to make some moves to get guys that are quote unquote Rick Carlisle guys. You know what I mean? Defensive minded, tough nosed players that'll play a full 48 minutes. So, not saying that Brogdon wasn't that, but with the salary and the things that Rick Carlisle likes to do, Brogdon may not have been a fit for that. So, I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah, I agree. Real quick, kind of at your Celtics on the Celtics end of it. Obviously, this is kind of the piece they needed. You saw it very
Hmm.
vividly in the finals, and we've all talked. We definitely feel like they're a Chris Middleton injury away from not even playing in the NBA championship, and
Hmm.
so I think this is a really good move. You're now looking at a really good core for the Celtics. Including Al Horford, including Robert Williams, Marcus Smart, Brown, Tatum, obviously. So.
Hmm.
It pains me obviously to say the Celtics are doing great things and they're not going away, but they're doing great things and they're not going away.
Yeah, it's that's a perfect fit for them. Malcolm Brogdon, and like you said, you saw it mostly in the playoffs, but mostly in the finals. Marcus Smart's not a point guard, and not to say that he played bad because he didn't play bad at all. I really do like Marcus Smart. This is not his natural position. This is not where he plays. Malcolm Brogdon gives you a guy. Not only can he score the ball, I think he averaged 19 points last year. I think he was a 19-6-5 guy, if I remember correctly. But he also is an outstanding perimeter defender. So yeah, that gives you two guys up there with Smart, and Brogdon to be able to guard the guards of the other team really well. So it's a perfect fit for them. It gives them a guy that'll be a steady, handler of the ball, be able to get them into their offense, and it takes that pressure off of Marcus Smart or Tatum or Jalen Brown, and then you still have your other pieces there, your Horfords, your Robert Williams, your Grant Williams, those guys, your role players. It's a good fit for Boston. I know Tim, you hate that, but
Yes, I
it
do.
makes them, it makes them. They were. It's hard to say they weren't contenders. They played in the finals, but this really makes them like a true contender for the crown, having a true point guard like Brogdon.
Yeah, I think if I'm looking at the East, and obviously, our next conversation that we're going to have is going to kind of dictate where things go from there. But, I think Atlanta obviously did a lot to improve their team. I think the
Hmm.
Murray Young tandem is going to be tremendous. I was talking about that a little bit while you were battling power. And then, Milwaukee, obviously, they said that we're just going to run our team back. We feel like if we're healthy, we're the best in the East. I think I still agree with that. And, obviously
Hmm.
Miami kind of in the Donovan Mitchell and Jimmy Butler, Kevin Durant sweepstakes from what people are
Yeah,
saying right now. So that can really change a whole lot too. So, but I think Boston's right there with those groups. Other than that,
yeah.
I think really Atlanta and Boston are the only teams so far that have really done stuff to raise their team.
Hmm.
Um, the Bulls have made a couple moves, but I think they're still the same team. The Lakers, have made some moves, but you know, are they significantly better? Like, I don't think so. I don't
Right.
know. Juan Toscano Anderson's a good pickup for them, but other than that, I'm not 100% certain. And Golden State, obviously, again, Dante DiVincenzo is the rich getting richer. Gosh,
Yes, it
like
is.
Yeah,
Yes, it is.
I'm actually, as much as I don't care about the Kings, am really excited about like Malik Monk and De'Aaron Fox getting back together.
Yeah,
I
that's pretty cool.
yeah, yeah, I loved that
Yeah, that's pretty
Kentucky
cool.
team. They were awesome.
Yeah,
They were so fun.
yeah.
So I think that's gonna be a blast. Keegan Murray is playing really well in summer league so far. So
Hmm.
obviously that's been pretty cool. Derpy Gaming asked our thoughts on the Cavs. I really don't feel like they've done a ton. I think it's great that they've made sure Darius Garland stays at home, and you got to make
Yeah,
sure you do everything possible with him. You know, but Isaac Okoro is still there, like we talked about last week. Yeah, he's still a Cav. You know, Colin Sexton, they haven't made any decisions where they're going with him, but your core is Mobley, Garland, and Allen, and that's what you need to
and
build around for probably like more than likely. And I like Agbaji. I don't know if he's the guy I would have taken there, but I think he's a fine player. He's a good 3-and-D player, and that's what the Cavs need more of. So I think the Cavs are okay. Um, I think they're probably in the same area next year, unless they make a big swing at somebody. But I don't really know what big swing they can necessarily make because they're not getting Kyrie Irving, nor would they probably want to after everything they went to with that already. They're not getting Kevin Durant, so, and I don't see them being a DeAndre Ayton suitor. So with all the big men they have already, so they're probably, fighting for those back playoff spots in the East. Again, if everyone stays healthy, though, who knows? Maybe they're much better.
yeah. No, yeah, I agree with that. Uh, like you said, I think their core, are Garland, Allen, and Mobley. I think Mobley is only going to get better, which is
Yeah.
scary. Which is really scary. Garland, Garland. I mean, he's a guy. They've already proven that he's going to be their franchise guy. Um, so I think that, and the biggest thing is that they have a solid bench. I mean, Coro, Kevin Love still there. I mean, I like Cleveland. Um, I would like to see them make one more move,
Yeah.
possibly get a wing, somebody like that. But yeah, I still like that Cleveland team. But like you said, I think there's still a 7-8 in the East.
Yeah, I do really enjoy that Ricky Rubio is going back there because before he got hurt, he
Yeah,
seemed to really, really enjoy his tenure there, and he was so
yeah,
good. Having him and Rondo there was so good for Garland.
yep.
So I don't know what's going to happen with Rondo, but you ready to get to the shit show?
Let's do it.
All right. What do the Brooklyn Nets do now? So, obviously, if you are here and listening to an NBA podcast, and thank you for listening if you are, you've heard all about it. You've heard that Kevin Durant has requested a trade out of Brooklyn, that he went straight to Joe Tsai. He went above Sean Marks and Steve Nash and company. You've heard Kyrie Irving is telling just about everybody that he's trying to be a Laker, and that's so hilarious to me. Um, you've heard that the Nets are not going to be rushing anything, that they're looking for kind of the right deal, and they have an idea in mind. Maybe it's because they gave 36 draft picks away for James Harden. I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't have done that, and Ben Simmons. So
Hmm.
this is kind of, the ultimate shit show. And we're looking at it now where Stephen A. Smith comes out and says Kyrie Irving is telling everybody he plans on going to LA. And we talked about this now for a couple weeks where we were like, how do they make this work? That's the salary. Is he going to be willing to take the mid-level? And, it's like, oh, it's probably just going to have to wait till next year when they're under the cap. And, we've done this long enough now. We know when there's smoke in the NBA, there's fire. And
Hmm.
that fire is blazing with these Kyrie Irving Laker reports. It sounds more and more like it's going to happen. So, first off, this is absolutely hilarious that this is happening to the Nets. I think this is so funny
Yeah,
that, you know,
yeah.
we're the
I'm
new
gonna be
team of
honest
New
with you.
York, and now it's just all
Yeah,
falling apart.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Like I don't have anything personal against Kevin Durant, but I'm kind of like I'm kind of happy that this is all kind of falling apart. Like you said, to me, um, he just seems like you don't know what makes the guy happy. Like you know what I mean? He was in OKC. They had the big three. They couldn't get over the hump. Okay, fine. You get traded.
You go to Golden State, you win a couple rings. Draymond makes you mad. You guys get an argument. So I'm going to go do it on my own. I'm going to pull Kyrie Irving. That's great. That's fine. Then now I'm here. Now I don't want to play with Kyrie. Now I want to be like what makes the guy want to stay in a place and just win? Like I don't get that. Like you're in Brooklyn. You asked to be in Brooklyn. You asked Kyrie to be in Brooklyn. You got Steve Nash who you wanted to be the coach in Brooklyn. You got all these pieces. They went out and got Ben Simmons, which I'm sure you lobbied for. We did all these things to make you happy. Kyrie re-signs, re-ups, and then you're like, nope, nope, I'm out. I don't want to be here anymore. Trade me. I want to be like what do you want as a basketball player, as a competitor, as whatever? I'm never going to discredit his ability. I'm never going to discredit that he wants to win. I'm never going to discredit it. But what do you want? Like what do you want? So it's the same thing with Kyrie. Like first, I don't want to play with LeBron. LeBron's hindering me. LeBron doesn't want me to be a leader. LeBron this, and now I want to go play with him. Like, like I just don't understand where these guys get all of this stuff where it's almost like you said. It's become a comedy stick. Like, you know what I mean? Like the idea of them being basketball players is becoming second fiddle to them being a comedy show or a disaster. Like those two are probably the most talented two individuals in NBA, and they've become a comedy stick. Like they are a running joke in the media. Like like how do you become that? Like you guys have more ability than 99% of the people in the NBA, and you're a laughing stock. Your NBA ability, your basketball ability has now become second to you becoming this carnival of just bad PR moves, bad advice, bad just everything. Like it's just become a just disaster. And it's just ugly. Like I just don't understand it. Like what's going to make you happy? Where can you finally go where you're going to settle up and say, okay, I'm going to be here. This is where I want to be. Because it wasn't OKC when you had the big three. You won 2 rings in Golden State. You got unhappy there, and now you're in Brooklyn. You played 1 year. Well, you played a half a year with Kyrie. Now you're not happy about that. So now I want to.
Literally 44 games, I think the three of them played together.
Yeah, yeah. They played half a year together.
Yeah. In
And
3 years, they
and
played
on
half a
top of
year.
that, right? And then on top of that, they also did have James Harden.
Oh, yeah. That was a thing. You remember? They had James
Yeah,
Harden. Yeah.
yeah. So the three of them together, and now he's still not happy. So it's
Yeah.
like it's become, like you said, it's become comical. It's sad because their basketball ability has become second. Like that's the saddest part about me. Like we should be talking about how great they are as basketball players and how this year they're going to come in and compete because now they're healthy. You really don't have the Kyrie Irving and the COVID shot thing hanging over your head. Like this was supposed to be their year. Oh, and Ben Simmons was supposed to come back. He's
hmm
going to be healthy. This is going to be a team that's going to compete. And now we're here.
I thought last year with the Lakers that there was just no way we could have an NBA dumpster fire bigger than what that was, with just like signing all these like aging veterans who were like,
Yep.
but like
Yep.
Brooklyn, like you see like this stuff's going on and the moves they're making. So they bring in, my guy, Edmund Sumner, who, I'm always going to root
Yeah, I
for.
saw that.
He comes to Brooklyn.
Yeah.
He's fully healed from his ACL, but it's his first time playing basketball since his ACL injury. TJ Warren, who you know pretty well, played like 6 games since the bubble. He's
Yep.
going to Brooklyn, and like, yeah, the upside is great, but and then they trade for Royce O'Neal right before the Durant stuff, which obviously leads to the infamous Brian Windhorst
Mm-hmm.
greatest memes of all time. But that move made no sense to me. They gave up yet another draft pick
Yep.
for in that deal. So I don't know. I feel like Brooklyn is just always going to Brooklyn, and they make the Knicks sometimes look normal, and that's kind of frightening.
They
But
do.
I will say this: I'm not saying this as someone who likes the teams or anything like that. Just kind of saying this as someone who enjoys basketball. This goes back to my point earlier. We have all this stuff, and you might disagree with me. And if you do, that's perfectly fine. We have all this stuff we've been talking about where there's so many of these teams that are middling in the pack that are like, just don't show the trajectory to like their future looks bright. I love this because if Kyrie Irving ends up on the Lakers, that's fun. If Kevin Durant goes to the Phoenix Suns, that's fun. The Pacific Division at that point is insane between Golden State, LA, and Phoenix. You talk about Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, LeBron James, Anthony Davis. This is the year LeBron's going to break the scoring record more than likely, barring he stays healthy.
Mhm.
And obviously, the menaces that are the Golden State Warriors, who, I know lost a couple bench guys, but kept their starting core together. And, we know what they're going to do.
Mhm.
I want that. I think like the NBA really, we all complain about it. And I think we just do this thing where we just have a tendency to dehumanize basketball players. And
Yeah.
I've never had an issue with Durant going team to team to team, because I look at it as like, if I'm in my field of employment that I currently have right now, and there's another company that's going to help me get closer to my goals, I'm going to hear what that company has to say if they're interested in me. Or in a circumstance where in my field, there's another company out there that's going to pay me significantly more money than I make right now. Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm going to, see if that's a good option for me. Like, that is what they do. And people just do this thing where it's like, they just shit on the guys for doing all this stuff. And like, I've thought this like about LeBron forever. Like, he wanted to go play basketball with his friends. Why is everyone's so pissed off about that? Like, it's like, all right, he went and played with his friends for a few years. They were successful. And he went back home and he was successful there. And then he went out west and he was successful there. And it's like, granted, he didn't ask for trades at any of those places. That's not my point. But I don't have an issue with guys wanting to go places. But going back to what you were saying about Kevin Durant, I have a strong issue with doing everything possible to get what you want and then
Mhm.
still wanting to get out of there. I don't
Mhm.
think that. Like, look, LeBron did it too. I know everyone talks about how he left all those franchises in shambles, but like, sign JR to a long-term deal, sign Tristan to a long-term deal. I get that. But what Kevin Durant has been doing now with this Brooklyn stuff is insane.
Mhm.
And look, I think a lot of it's just the pressure. Like, we put so much pressure on these guys. Like, you have to win or your legacy is you're a bum. And so they try to make all these moves to win, and then we get pissed off at them. And I also think that's not
Yep.
fair. So I'm playing devil's advocate with myself during this segment, but you get what I'm saying.
No, I definitely understand what you're saying. It's and I don't want to feel like I'm Kevin Durant bashing, because you're right. There are things that happen, and you want to make moves, but I guess I'm kind of like what you said. Like, I just don't like the way he went about it. Like, you ask for all these things, they accommodate you, they put their franchise in a worse position for long term in order to give you what you want, and then now you don't want to be there anymore. Like, I guess that's my and it's no, it's the franchises too, right? Like, the
Right.
franchises want to win championships. So it's
Yeah.
the franchises too. Like, they know the risks they're taking when they trade away draft picks and they trade away people, and they know the risks. It's just like with LeBron. Like Miami won those championships when LeBron wanted to leave. Like, they knew where they'd put their franchises. When you sign up to get a LeBron James, once that ride ends, your franchise is going to take a step back. And that's, just like in Cleveland. Like, when he left Cleveland, like, they took a step back, and then he went back and they were right back where they were. So the franchises take risk as well, which makes sense. But the way that I guess Durant's kind of gone about it is just irritated me. Like, I just feel like he's playing games.
Yeah. And I do think, and I think when we kind of go back to this with basketball and people are like, you can probably speak to this better than I can, is when people are like, this doesn't happen in other sports. It's like, yeah, you're right, because there's 13 dudes here.
You're
And
right.
one,
Yeah, it's
you're down one, you're down
yep,
12. If Tampa Bay
yep,
is down Mike Evans, Tom Brady's still got dudes to throw to, like,
yep,
it's still okay.
yep,
If,
yeah,
so it's like, yeah, they're obviously going to take a hit on their success, but like, it's not like that in other sports. Like, if Kevin
hmm,
Durant decides to trade, like, no matter what Brooklyn gets, they're worse. And like,
yep,
it's not like that in other sports. Like, look at the New York Mets right now. If Starling Marte is hurt for a couple days, they're not worried. They're like,
Yep.
we still got 8 other dudes in this lineup that can hit. And guess
Yep.
what? They're going to be just fine. So, like, I think when we kind of do this thing where we just crap on basketball players like this, and this wasn't meant to be pro KD or anything like that. It's just kind of something I've been thinking about for a long time. We just dehumanize pro athletes way too much. And we question their like competitiveness, and that's asinine to me. Like, if they weren't competitive, they
Right.
wouldn't be where they are. Except for Ben
Yeah.
Simmons. I don't think he's really much of a competitor. But you know, I can say all the bad things I have about Trae Young. That dude wants to win, and I love it. So
Yep.
that's all I'm going to kind of leave it at there.
Yeah. Hey, real quick before we go into the next topic, and this like 30 seconds.
No, go
Did
for
you
it.
see the comments from Kevin Garnett about Anthony Davis? What were your thoughts on that?
I haven't seen
Really
it.
quick before we. Okay.
Okay. Do you want? No, you can. We're
No.
we're way under time. So
Okay.
I have not
So
seen
no,
the
I
clip
just
yet.
want to. Yeah.
So if you
pretty
want to fill
much
me in
just
on it.
So just to kind of paraphrase, so Kevin Garnett commented on, Anthony Davis talked about he hadn't touched the basketball in like a couple months, and he hadn't really been doing much basketball activity in a couple months, and so Kevin Garnett kind of went on this it was a mini rant about how can you say that? How can you not you missed over half the year. You should be a guy that goes into your workout saying, I'm going to be the MVP this year. That's why LeBron brought you in, is to carry that team and to be the MVP. And, you're talking about you haven't touched the basketball. Like, that's just crazy. Like, you need to be in the lab. Just Kevin Garnett stuff. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, you need to be in the lab, big fella. You got to be, you got to be doing this and that. And, I want you to be an MVP. That's kind of thin numbers you need to be putting, stuff like that. So when I saw it, I was like, in a sense, I was like, man, that's really good for Kevin Garnett to Anthony Davis. But I don't know how much Anthony Davis's generation, I guess, listens to that other generation. It's kind of like the Shaq and Charles getting on and beating all those guys. Like, I don't know how
That
much
worked
those
out
guys.
though. That was awesome.
Yeah, it did
That
work
was great
out.
for Embiid.
Because Embiid was turned into a monster. But I didn't know if you'd had a chance to hear that or what you thought about what he had said, and there was kind of more to it. But yeah, he was getting on Anthony Davis pretty good.
Okay, well, from what you told me, I can kind of go off that. I don't have any issue with it. Yeah, I kind of think Kevin Garnett can be a little annoying at times with how he kind of talks about like this era of basketball. Like, I'm sorry, dude, if Giannis Antetokounmpo's in your era, he's kicking everybody's ass. Like, that's just who he is.
Yep. No. Yeah. Absolutely.
I haven't seen Rise yet, by the way. Have you on Disney Plus?
Oh, I've not seen that one.
Okay, I need to watch that.
I've not
still.
seen that one.
But I don't think there's anyone, at least on this network, obviously, that's more disappointed than me and Anthony Davis this past season. And part of that was injury, but part of it was like he put on too much muscle mass, and you could tell he just wasn't comfortable in his body. So I think for it being him, because of his superstar stature, is why we're kind of like doing this too much. Do I wish there was someone who lit a fire under his ass and got him back to being Anthony Davis? Yes. Want it.
Yeah.
Nothing. Bubble Anthony Davis was like unbelievable. Was so good. And I would love to see him get back to that. But, the same point. This is the same Garnett guy who like always finds ways to discredit LeBron and, Kobe was better and all this. And that's fine if that's your personal opinion. You're wrong at most for majority of it, but it's just so like, it's so old man basketball. But also I do love that he's like, I want you to maximize your talent. I want you to win. And like, that's the better way to put it.
Yeah. I didn't think he was trying to take shots at him. I just think he was a little disappointed in, I guess, how he was going about getting back to where he needs to be. I guess that's what the easiest way to put it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
I just spilt my drink. Thank God I did not ruin my laptop.
Ooh. Yeah, those are expensive.
Yeah, and I got like a bunch of cards next to me. Somehow it landed in the perfect spot. We're on a roll tonight, aren't we?
We've had all kinds of craziness tonight.
Yeah. Well, I do want to kind of go through free agency as a whole, but my last big talking topic I wanted to get to was Jalen Brunson does officially sign with the Knicks at 4 years, 110 mil. Mavericks never received a chance to make an offer, from what sources said, according to Sham's tweet. So I know there's been a lot of bashing and like Knicks gonna Nick and stuff like that. This is the Knicksiest thing possible. I think I even said that last week. And to an extent, I do think it's still a little insane and asinine. But I will say this about Jalen Brunson. This is someone who I got to see a lot play in college. This is a guy who I really like. And this is a dude that wins. And the Knicks are in a situation where like they gotta win. And obviously like the Knicks see something in him, and maybe it's the Knicks being the Knicks, and maybe this all blows up in their face like it has in years past. But I have no issue with Jalen Brunson, with them like waiting for Jalen Brunson and making this deal happen, making cap space for him to kind of ignite him. But at the same point, were they really competing with Dallas for him? Were they really competing with anyone for him? So kind of curious what your thoughts were on this and how you feel about it.
I think that that's a that's a really good move by the Knicks. Um, we've said this every year about the Knicks. Like they have talent in spots, but they don't have leadership, and they don't have dogs. Like I like Randall. I think Randall is a great player. I just don't know how much of a leader he is. Um, I like RJ Barrett, but I don't know about leadership. Jalen Brunson to me is a guy that can bring that to that franchise. I think he is a tough individual. He's a physical individual. And I think that he can bring a little bit of that as well as that leadership to the table for the Knicks. I don't, I think that that's one of the things that they're kind of missing. The Knicks always remind me of a team that's super athletic and does a lot of things, but they just don't have no guidance. It's just like a ship without a rudder. Like they just go, and it's they do some really great things, and they'll have an 8-game win streak. You're like, yeah, Knicks, and then they'll follow it like 11-game losing. You're like, really, like what the heck, like how do y'all do? Like how do you go from 8-game win streak to 11-game losing streak? But that's the Knicks. They don't have anybody on that roster that really steadies that team. They have some really athletic, fun players, but I think Jalen Brunson is a guy that will give them a little bit of that steadier presence of leadership. So I think that's a really good get for them. I think they need probably 2 more guys like a Jalen Brunson. Now they can't spend that kind of money on those kind of guys, but like this is weird to say, but like a Pat Bev-esque guy with the Knicks would be a really good fit because of his leadership style, and the toughness that he brings and the discipline that he brings. So I'm not saying they're going to get Pat Bev, but a Pat Bev type guy, I think is something that Knicks team needs because they've got ability. It's just they just don't have a whole lot of leadership qualities.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Let's kind of go around real quick, kind of like just hop around the league and kind of get some thoughts on some moves.
Oh yeah.
So, I talked about it earlier, the Bulls, Andre Drummond, Goran Dragic. I really like one of those moves, don't really like the other one all that much. Really kind of feel like
you don't like the Drummond move?
Not really.
Okay.
I worry that he's going to end up starting because I worry that Vooch won't be a Bull. And that's where I get afraid because he started the whole year.
That's where you're nervous.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So there's that. But I really like getting Dragic. I think he'll be a good backup. And, with everything kind of going on, we're kind of waiting for what's going to happen with Lonzo. Things I like. Obviously, Zach LaVine signing back is huge. Derek Jones Jr. comes back, but don't really feel like they did much to kind of make their team better. What about you? What was a move out there that you really liked?
Gosh, I like the Dragic move for sure for Chicago. I like Drummond too. Like I didn't see it in him as a starter though. I mean, I'm hoping that they'll have Vucevic, but
Please no.
I but I do like that move. Um, and we already talked about the one. You know, I I like the move of moving Brogdon to Boston. That's probably been the best one I've seen because I think that
I agree.
that's the one glaring thing that was missing from their run was having a true point guard. And I think that he's a guy that that's the kind of guy that'll put you over the edge when you get to those playoff games and finals and things like that. Um, and I also, like I said, I like that for the Pacers as well because we get some picks, we get some cap space, and we're able to build again and build the way Rick Carlisle would want to build it. So I definitely like that move. Um,
Yeah, I agree.
so that's probably
Yeah.
been the best one so far.
Yeah, I will say I'm not in love with Lonnie Walker going to the Lakers just because, he's definitely an easy guy to root for, especially when you read his
Yeah,
story. But a negative offensive and defensive player. This was more just about he was a clutch client. I will say, I talked about it for a second earlier. I liked him getting Juan Toscano-Anderson. I think that's a really good get for
yeah,
them as far as like a bench
yep,
defender. And I really liked him getting Damian Jones. I thought when he was there for a little bit during the 10-day hardship era, he played pretty well for him. And, they decided to go with Andre Drummond over him. And I think
yeah.
Jones will be a really good spot for them. I think he'll be glad he's back there. Scottie Pippen Jr. honestly doesn't look too bad in summer league so far either. So
He has not looked bad at all. He's actually looked pretty well.
yeah,
So
agreed. Trying to think real quick of any other things that really jumped out to me that I really wanted to touch on. I don't understand Orlando bringing back Gary Harris for $26 million. Feel like that was kind of like a wasted contract that they could have done something
yeah,
better with.
the one
Keeping
here's
Mo Bamba was
another one.
nice.
Yeah, Mo Bamba was a good one. Here's one that which it's not a free agent signing, but the Wizards and Bradley Beal. Like I thought that was that's isn't Bradley Beal like getting older?
Yeah.
Like I that's a lot of money to give Bradley Beal, but
Yep.
you know it is what it is.
Yeah. I
It
really
is
like
what it
this.
is.
I know we talked about every year this team makes a move and they still can't win, but I really like the Sixers getting DeAnthony Melton as a backup point guard.
Yeah,
Love that
yeah.
move. Who was it?
And we still haven't
Freaking
talked enough about the DiVincenzo move to Golden State. Like that's going to be that's
huge.
and they got him 2 years, $9 million, dude. Like, are you
Yeah,
kidding me?
big time.
Like
Heck, man.
that's just crazy to me.
JaVale going to Dallas. That's gonna be Lob
Yeah.
City. Like that's great. Great spot for
Oh
him.
yeah. Yeah, that'll be huge. That'll
Um,
be real huge. What do you think about John Wall to the Clippers?
it's hard for me to be excited about a guy that's missed 100 games over the last 4 years.
Yeah.
It just is.
Yeah.
Especially going to a team that's already battling a ton of injuries. I know, like I have this conversation with Kentucky people all the time where they're like, he's gonna have a bounce back year. He's gonna be awesome, and he was really good his last year with Houston. I was like, no, he wasn't. He shot 30%. Shot 40% from the floor, Ben. From the
Yeah.
floor, he shot 40%. He was garbage.
Yep. Yep.
Like,
Hot
yeah,
garbage.
yeah. Like, I hope it works out for his sake. Like, he's, I want him to succeed, and obviously, like, you don't, seeing guys be out for a couple of years really sucks, but I don't know. If it works out, it's a cool fit. But Kawhi doesn't play basketball much. Paul George doesn't play basketball much. You're just adding
Hey,
to your issues by bringing John Wall in.
Kawhi's got that Roman Reigns schedule. he's
Yeah.
like, he's like, he's like, what, SummerSlam? Yeah, I'll be there.
That's so true. Yeah, that's absolutely true. Man. Anytime I can reference basketball and wrestling in the same conversation, I'm there.
There you
Uh,
go.
I don't think there's any other ones I really want to mention. New York keeping Mitchell Robinson is obviously huge.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Nuggets, but them getting Bruce Brown, I like that. That's a good pickup for them. And I can't
Yeah,
believe Portland got Gary Payton II. You know, what I mean, that's a good get for them. And I was kind of
it
hard to
is.
believe that he got away from the Golden State. Like he had kind of made his mark there defensively, being a really good bench guy for them. I'm kind of surprised they let him walk. Like I thought that'd be one of the guys they try. Now they can't keep him off, of course, but I thought he'd be one
Right.
of the guys that they try to keep for sure.
Yeah, I agree. Um, yeah, just kind of look at the tracker right now. So Toronto keeping Chris Boucher 3 years for 30 years. That's a little crazy to me.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, the Lakers getting Troy Brown is absolutely hilarious. It's such a Laker move. When you fill our bench with guys who aren't very good at professional basketball,
Right.
I know where to go. Um,
Oh,
do you like PJ Tucker to Philly?
I do. I do. I
I do too.
here's my thing with the 76ers, man. It always comes down to them being out physical by somebody.
Yep.
Like, you know what I mean? They play the Heat, they get out physical. They play Boston, they get out physical. So what do? You bring in a guy that brings you that physicality. And on top of that, PJ Tucker now takes the pressure off Embiid of having to guard big guys that are physical. Because PJ Tucker can do that. Now Embiid can have mismatch on the other end, being able to do what he does. So I like that move for him. And PJ Tucker's a winner, dude. I love that guy. He's a grind him out. He's going to get rebounds. He's going to play defense. He's going to talk trash, and he'll give them. I think he gives them that toughness that they're usually missing.
I agree. I think the fact, like you hit it nail on the head, they just need to be tougher, and we
Hmm.
all know that dude is, you know, a playable basketball version of Udonis Haslam. So
Hmm.
that's nice. Yeah, I think it's a great move for them. I agree. Just kind of make sure. Does Dwight Howard sign it with anybody, or do you think he's done?
Um, I there's going to be somebody that's going to reach out to him at some point. I don't think he's done. I don't I don't know who it's going to be. Um, I I mean he can't be any worse than DeAndre Jordan, right?
Who got signed?
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like
How? I don't know.
he can't be worse than that guy, right?
No, 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 no,
Okay.
no, no,
So
no. He can't.
I think somebody at some point will reach out to him and give him a decent give him they'll give him a decent deal, 1 year, 8 mil, 9 mil, something like that, whatever he can make minimum. Somebody will reach out to him because you know a veteran backup center, you're not going to ask a whole bunch from him, it's just.
Right.
But I think he'll sign somewhere.
Yeah, I'm curious. Selfishly, for the sake of nostalgia, I really want to see Orlando bring him in to be a backup five, to be behind
Oh
Wendell Carter
yeah,
and Mo Bamba. Um,
yeah,
just end it where it started, man. Like you don't have much more of a career. You're going to the Hall of Fame. You won a championship. Just
yep.
right off into the sunset where it all began.
I agree with you on that. I
Yeah.
definitely
All
agree
right.
with him. That would be really cool to see.
And lastly, by the time we speak next time and do a podcast, will Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant still be Brooklyn Nets?
Um, I say yes. Not for
I do
long,
too.
but he will be.
Yeah.
He'll
Not
still
for
be
much
there.
longer,
Dude,
but
it's gonna take I mean, it's gonna take a huge. It's gonna take a
this is
lot
going
of
to go
work
a
by a lot
while.
of people. Yeah, it's gonna go a while. It's gonna take a lot of work by a lot of people. But he will get moved, of course. But it's gonna take a lot of work by a lot of people,
Yeah.
in order for that to happen.
I almost am like, if I'm the Lakers and I really want to make this deal happen, I think I just call San Antonio and be like, look, you guys don't want to win. You guys want to get Victor Wembanyama next year. Take Russell Westbrook. Just take him for the year.
Yep.
You know, buy him out if you want. Don't play him. Whatever you want to do. Just, you know, we need the money for Kyrie. So, well, dude, we battled through power, drink spills. Yeah, we went through a lot tonight, but we still managed to get a show together. It's going to be hell for me to edit, but I'll figure it out.
No.
Always appreciate you hanging out. Always appreciate you giving some time.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
Anything else crazy breaks, I'm sure we'll be back here. But thank you all for tuning in, whether you tune in live here on the streams or on the social media the next day. We're definitely grateful and appreciate it. We'll be back next week. Have a good night, and we'll see you all soon.